Alright, good morning. I am going to try this. I'm not sure if I like this whole camera. I'm trying this whole having the camera hooked up to something stationary, and now I feel like I'm having to look up, but whatever. It is what it is. Nothing's perfect, right? I debated whether I wanted this stuff in my backspace, but you know what? This is what my backyard looks like. And yes, I hang my laundry up to dry. And there's Moon, my little buddy, walking around. So, what I wanted to do this morning, and I've been wanting to do this, and I need to just start doing what I want to do, right? Nothing like the present. So, starting now. So, I wanted to read these things, and I don't know, because all this is credited is to Success Wisdom. I don't know. But I'm going to read this. When I look back, I am stunned by how much I accepted just to keep people in my life. The silence, the disrespect, the one-sided effort. I stayed quiet to avoid conflict, dimmed myself to make others comfortable. That version of me is gone. I've learned that losing people who don't value me is not a loss, it's freedom. I'll never betray myself like that again. You know, one thing about these, okay, Success Wisdom is where I got this from, or at least that's what's credited on this sheet that I printed off of Facebook. And I have my issues with Facebook, because the reason why I do the YouTube thing is because I can't even stand. There is a difference between people who know who you are, if they even recognize you from town. Because it is amazing to me how many just meaningless posts I get. I don't care for Facebook. I don't care for people. Because when I think about this quote, right now I really have, I don't have people in my life. I have acquaintances I go do things with, but none of these people even know anything about my life. Nor do they truly care to be in it. Because if I'm not chasing off to do what they want to do, nobody's coming over here. I put all this stuff in my yard because I always thought that that's the way it would be. And now I'm all around it. That's how I feel about it. You know, this table is all full of freaking shit from the woods because there's no people in my life. And I have done, you know what I have done to stay in relationships, and then they try to convince me they're accepting me for who I am, and they're not accepting me. They're accepting the version of me that's willing to jump through the hoops to stay in the relationship. And then, you know what I get accused of? You were jumping through hoops? Dude, men in their 50s, they don't want to do nothing. The ones that want to do shit, the struggle. I don't have words for it. Now, where's my dog again? Moon! Because they don't even realize the shit that we go through to try to stay in this shit. Like, he don't want to go nowhere. He don't want to do nothing. And then he whines. His back hurts. This hurts. I can't breathe. Dude, you're sitting in your fucking trailer smoking cigarettes nonstop. That's what you're breathing in. You know, and then you walk outside and, you know, there's smoke in the air and shit, but you know what? You can't tell me that that's worse than sitting in your house and inhaling the cigarette smoke. There he is. My dog. And I don't know how you think your back is ever going to stop hurting if you don't get off your ass and do something. But like yesterday, I went up to Michigan. You know, I messed around by the lakes and stuff. You know, it wasn't a lot of exercise, but it's more than sitting in my fucking house or on a chair in my backyard. Go for a goddamn walk. But no. And he honestly thought I was going to sit here too. No, I'm not. I'm going. We ain't together. And you know, he doesn't do things to me. It's not like he's getting mad at me. I don't think. Well, maybe he is over there and he just don't say anything. You know, he is the king of pretending like shit don't bother him when it really does. You don't say anything until he's so pissed off about shit he can't stand it. And then we're in a big fight. Anyway, I didn't get on here to complain about him because it's not just him. When I think back to all these relationships, it was always me changing me to accommodate the fact that a man ain't gonna change. There's issues and they don't fucking care. And just because they're not hitting you, and even women, I have had women. I'll tell a story. Honestly, I've done so many videos now, I don't even know what videos, if I've even told the story about. Well, okay, part of my backstory is that when I was 17 years old, I was raped. And I ended up pregnant from that rape. And I don't even know. I don't know how many. You know, I've told stories about this, but anyway, I forgot where I was even going with this because there the anxiety hits and then I lose track of where I'm at. Oh, I was going to tell the story. Okay. So, I never told, well, I don't, how do you tell you know, that story is one of those things where, okay, I chose to keep her despite the fact that I was tried to be convinced that I needed to give her up for adoption. That's a story for another day. The story I'm trying to tell is I didn't know when to tell my daughter the truth about who her real dad was. And supposedly my best friend, knew the story, and that wasn't it's not her fucking story to tell. That's how I see it. This is my story. You know, and part of my dilemma is I didn't know when to fucking tell my daughter, Moon, what are you into? Hey, I can see you. Yep, I'm sitting right here. Goofy. Okay, anyways. So she when my daughter was, 12, my best friend had this boyfriend who was a piece. He was a piece. I don't even know how she couldn't. Looking back at that, but you know what? All the men that I've dated, I really, at this point, have no room to fucking talk. But back then I did. Because I didn't date. I stayed true to my kids. My kids lost their dad to fucking whoever. And he forgot about who the fuck his kids were, and there's another story for another day. Anyway, my daughter was raised to think that my first ex-husband was her biological father, and he's not. And she had been told that she was off the rails as it was because the abandonment, you know, I can't imagine what that's like as to be a little kid. I know the damage that was caused to me, and I didn't even have to deal with not having a dad or a real dad around. But then her fucking dumbass boyfriend got mad at her. So in retaliation, he decided to message my daughter the story. And that's how she found out. Words cannot describe the amount of betrayal. And and that's part of my backstory, that when, like, the whole, I go back to the whole cheating thing. You know what? I don't know. I just don't know how people do shit to each other. And I've done shit. I get that. Whatever. I don't even know why I'm going into that. It's just because it just. Anyway. I lost it. That day I went to her boyfriend, and I think that if I would have got my hands on him, I would have killed him. That's how mad I was. And that honestly right there was the turning point in the relationship. Honestly, if I had to be truly honest, that was the turning point of... I just didn't care about anything anymore after that. That was... I was trying to protect my daughter from that bullshit. And the only thing that I could handle doing was denying it to my daughter, which was true. So how does she not fucking know that? I don't know. It's just... when you get hurt, like those kinds of hurts, it becomes easier to hurt other people. And I'm not proud of that. I think that if my neighbor would actually listen to some of this stuff, he might understand why I feel the way I do, why that I act the way I act. But if I tell any stories to him, it's I'm living in the past. I don't know. I'm not living in the past, dude. No matter what happens, you can fucking remember it. And you know what? If you tell a story, it isn't because you're trying to relive it. It's because I'm trying to get... I want you to understand why I am the way I am. Because if you can understand that, then you can understand why things happen. Why... Moon? Moon! Hey, get over here. Hey. Sorry. Because I don't do the whole cutting thing. I'm not going to sit around. This whole thing was not about creating more stress for me, even though I do feel the need to expand on certain things. But I can't afford a ton, and this is what I've got. And I don't have fancy computers. I've got a cell phone. The computer I have is from 2013, and it is, from what I understand, Windows 10 is coming to a close. And I'm not sure that an investment in a computer is really where I'm at. I don't know where that dog is. Moon! Moon, get over here! Anyway. The other part of these quotes, you know, these Facebook things really make you believe that you could just read this and suddenly you're going to believe that that version of me is gone. Now I've learned that losing people who don't value me is not a loss. And maybe it's a freedom. Right now I feel like there ain't one person in my life that really knows me. And I can't explain why that really bothers me. You know, and when I say those things, the idiot, well... Moon! Get over here! You know, Mike, I don't even want to say his name because he gets all fucking pissy every time anybody brings this back to him that I've been doing a video and bring up his name. But he's the only fucking person I talk to. And he's very critical. Even though he tells me he's not. Yeah, he is. Constantly. He thinks me doing these videos is stupid. Maybe it is. But maybe it's not. You know, who makes him boss? Who makes him the enlightened one? I don't know. I don't know if these are helping anybody. But I can't be the only one that feels like I do. I can't be the only one that can read a quote like this and really feel like I'll never betray myself like that again. That's not true. I can't get over the unconscious need to people please. Because the fucking second I get around another person, I feel like I gotta do what they want to do because my opinion doesn't fucking matter. You know, I get asked where I want to eat. I don't want to say where I want to eat because I don't even want to hear, well, I don't want to do that. Well, then pick a fucking place. I ain't even that picky. You know, and I just get sick of hearing. I just quit doing things. I don't do things with people. I got invited to do some stuff yesterday. Thank God I was in Michigan because I didn't want to. You know, part of it I think is the age difference. These people are freaking 20 years plus younger than me. They want to go swimming and do all. I don't care about doing that. I don't. You know what? That water's cold and I don't care about doing it. I don't like weeds. Not real excited about eating other people's cooking. Never used to be like that. I mean, I've got my own set in my ways. Let's be real. Okay, where's my flippin' dog again? Moon! Moon! Oh, I don't want to stop the tape. Although, I don't know. Maybe I'm done talking. Oh, here he is. I wish life were as easy as reading a quote and thinking to yourself. But my whole life, I've done these self-help. I've got so much money spent on trying to figure out how to not have the feelings I do. And I still do. I have that immediate need to people please, and to me it's just easier not being around people. And I don't see how it becomes so exhausting to try to stop your brain from doing that go-to that you wonder if the other side is even worth it. The fantasy thinking too. I guess for so long I did not realize how many times things were so horrible that were going on that I would make up these scenarios in my head about what it would be like if things were different. And they're just not. And you want to live in that other reality, and I just didn't even realize how much that just makes this reality just so much more miserable. And then you wonder why you're even here. Because do I really feel like these posts where, oh, I'm so sorry you feel the way you do? That was feedback from one of my posts from the last few days. P.S. I know where the lake is, but I'm not going to say that you're at right now as though I'm trying to keep it secret. That just... I don't even know what the name of the lake is, I'll be honest. But I'm not trying to keep it a secret or I wouldn't film down there every day. But whatever. And then, I don't know. I always get it in my head that people think that then, you know what, if you're sad, that's just who you are. But it's not. Sad is a fucking emotion. It ain't who you are. Why do people treat you that way? But my God, if you get seen, and lately, my eyes are puffy all the time because I'm crying. I'm crying. I just almost lost my sister and my brother-in-law. And they're the only family I have left. And it hurts. It hurts. It hurts to know that I don't know how this is going to turn out for them. You know, my neighbor's brother-in-law just... took... I don't know how I can word this on YouTube, but he took his life. And I went to school with him. And I know what detox feels like. I know what feeling like you have nothing to live for feels like. Here's the other knucklehead. But my God, if you say that to anybody, that becomes who you are. But yes, I'm human. I think about if it matters, if anybody would care if I'm here or not. That doesn't mean I'm about to go do something drastic. It means I have feelings. I spend a lot of time alone. And your mind wanders. Because that's what it does. No fucking bottle of pills. And let's be honest. Counselors aren't going to do things like give you a hug, which is what you really need. Honestly, I think a lot of therapy would be unnecessary. Talk therapy would be unnecessary if you could get a fucking hug. But I think this world is getting to the point where nobody wants to. Nobody wants to comfort anybody. No, you know what they want to do? They want to sell finger objects. What? This kind of bullshit was never a thing. I find it odd that people need this. Maybe give your fucking kids a hug and let them know that things are going to be okay. I just think I think this world is just cradling the idea that none of us need a loving touch. Like, I don't think that even 50 years ago, the amount of narcissistic people even existed that do now. I feel like everybody around me is freaking narcissistic. For God's sakes, I think in certain ways I'm fucking narcissistic. What kind of person does some of the things that I did? But it ain't because I was born that way. It's because the more and more bad things that happen to you, the more people that betray you, the more people that treat you like crap, think that you should have a toy instead of actual touch. Those are all things that I just don't even understand. Anyway, you know what? I don't know. I don't know that anybody even bothers with any of these, but here I am. I feel like my camera is just getting lower and lower here. I'm gonna have to sit like this. Anyway, this is Jen with Jen's House of Zen. Wishing everybody to be kind to each other. You know what? Give somebody a hug today. Reach out and say, hey, you know what? I'm noticing you might be having a hard time. God forbid anybody notice that. Anybody's having a hard time. You know what? They want to just say, oh, they're being assholes. Just because somebody's having a rough day doesn't make them an asshole. Whatever. Anyway, this is Jen from Jen's House of Zen. Wishing everybody to be kind to each other and reach out and give somebody a hug. I am doing the best with what I have been given. Have a nice day.